Hashem, today's Daf Yomi is Bava Basra 117. Daf Yomi is dedicated for Shemir for the Chayalim, Matzah for the Shvuyim, and Yeshua for Am Yisrael, and the Seis Tzara. We're going to start on the bottom of 116b at the Mishnah. That Benos Tzlafchad, the daughters of Tzlafchad, Natlu Gimel Chalakim Benachla. They took 3 shares in their inheritance. We're going to be learning about the daughters of Tzlafchad over the next few days. You had a question, Harold? So they had 3 shares. Chel Kavien, the share of their father, Shaya and Yotze Mitzrayim. He was one of those people who left Egypt, and they got his share. We'll see what that means. Then they had the share of V'chalko and Achiv, and they had the share of Tzlafchad's brothers, Benichse Chefer, in the estate of Tzlafchad's father, whose name was Chefer. V'Shaya Bechor Notel Shnei Chalakim, and also the firstborn took a double portion, because Tzlafchad was a firstborn. So we'll see what all this means. The Gemara is going to analyze this. But first, the Gemara says on the top of 117a, Tana Kamanda Amar, the Tana is like the one who says, Yotze Mitzrayim Nitchalka Arts. Our Tana, which says that they got the portion of Tzlafchad who left Egypt. Our Tana is of the position that the land of Israel was apportioned on the basis of those who left the land of Israel, Yotze Mitzrayim, on the basis of those who left the land of Egypt. That was how it was divided. And the Gemara is going to explain this in a brisa. Tanya Rabbi Yoshaya Omar Yotze Mitzrayim Nechal. On the basis of those who left Egypt, the land was divided, as it says L'shmos Matos Avosam Yachol, by the names of their fathers' tribes. It was divided. Meaning to say, everybody who left Egypt got a portion, and then their portion was subdivided amongst their children who went into the land of Israel. So the division did not go on the basis of who went into the land of Israel. The division was made on the basis of those who left Egypt. Very simple. Very simple. Shmot matot avosam yinchalu elamani makayim. So how do I fulfill the verse that it says at the end of Parashas Pinchas, La'ela techalek ha'aretz? To these people you shall divide the land. La'ela means ka'ela. It doesn't mean that the ones who left Egypt, that they got the portion, or that the ones who went into the land of Israel, that they were the ones who were getting the lots. It was the people who left Egypt who got the lots. But ka'ela, meaning to say, that just like the ones who went into Israel, the ones who actually that means to say in the following manner, meaning to say that just like the ones who are counted at the plains of Moab were actually only between the ages of 20 to 60, so too the only ones who got a portion who left the land of Israel were those between the ages of 20, the ones who left Egypt between the ages of 20 to 60, that they were given a portion. So just like the ones who were counted in the plains of Moab were those between the ages of 20 to 60, so to those who got a portion who left Egypt were only the ones between 20 to 60 when they left Egypt, that they were given a share in the world in the land of Israel, and not lahotias atafam, to exclude those who were younger that they didn't get it. What about those over the age of 60? What about them? Did they get a portion? So the text here doesn't make clear the answer to that question. The text doesn't make clear an answer to that. So we're still being debated. We don't have any more Gemaras. Oh, right there. He has a Gemara. Daniel has a Gemara right there. And she has another one there, Baruch Hashem. Okay, so that's the first approach. The first approach is, how was the land divided? The land was divided amongst those who left Egypt. Only the ones over the age of 20. Whereas Rabbi Yona's son says, that the land was divided up, not amongst those who left Egypt, but amongst those who came into the land of Canaan. That's how it's divided. As it says, to these are the ones who will be divided the land. Well, if that's the case, Almani Mekayim, what do we do with the other verse, the other pasuk, which says, L'shmos Matos Avosam Yachol, by the names of their fathers' tribes it will be divided. So there's two psukim. One says it's divided amongst those who enter the land, and one says divided up amongst by their fathers. So the first approach of Rabbi Yoshaya says it was divided up by the portions of those who left Egypt, but it had the same rules as those counting those who went into the land of Israel. It was given to those between the ages of 20 to 60. They got a portion. But Rabbi Yonasan takes the opposite approach. He says, no, it was divided up by those who went into the land. They each got a share. But what about the fact that it says it was divided up by their fathers, which means to say that it's connected back to the land of Egypt? Mani Mekayim Lishmos Matos Avosamim Chalu. So that's to teach us, says the Gemara, Mishuna Nachol Zu Mikol Nachol Shaba'olam. This inheritance was different than all the other inheritances of the world. Shekol Nachol Shaba'olam, all the other inheritances, Chayin Yorshim Mason, the living inherit the dead. Vikan, but here Mason Yorshim Chayin. Here the dead inherit the living. And so what this means is that let's say there were Reuven and Shimon were two brothers who left Egypt, and Reuven had 10 sons, and Shimon had one son. So then they go into the land of Canaan. That's 11 shares going into the land of Canaan, and those 11 shares are then given back to their brothers, Reuven and Shimon, to split equally. So Reuven's 10 kids now get 5.5 shares, and Shimon's one kid gets 5.5 shares. That's what it means. The dead inherit the living. That Reuven and Shimon are inheriting from their children. I also said this morning, the Vort, which is not mine, it's from the Kedushas Levi, that when you go into the land of Israel, then the dead inherit the living. That's the idea. When that all the people now are fighting for the land of Israel, their ancestors are inheriting their tremendous actions. You had a question, Harold?
Yes, specifically so when they leave Egypt, they get some share. Wants to be constant.
So they got their share in the other side of the Jordan. They didn't get their share in the land of Canaan. They got their share in the Aver Yarden. That counts. That was where they took their share. Yeah. So that's what the Torah tells us, that they chose to take their share on the other side of the Jordan. So the Gemara says. So, and it's a good question, Harold. Thank you. So, the Gemara is going to discuss that also in this chapter. So, Amar Rebbe, and Rebbe says, I'll explain to you, what does it mean the dead inherit the living? It's the following thing. L'shnei achin kohanim. You have two brothers who are kohanim. Shayu be'ir achas. They lived in one city. L'echad yeshlo ben echad, v'echad yeshlo shnei banim. One has one son and one has two sons. So there are two brothers, and one has one son, one has two sons. And they went to the same threshing floor. Ben echad, the one who has one son, no echad, he takes one portion. One son takes one. The one who has two sons takes two portions. And they bring back the truma to their father. And two brothers split it equally. So therefore, each of the brothers is going to get the one who's the one son is going to get 1.5, and the other one is going. Each of them is going to get 3/4 of one, and that's how it's going to be divided. So that's the first approach. The first approach is that was given out to those who left Egypt. The second approach was given to those who went into the land of Israel, but it was choser. It returned back to the brothers. Rabbi Shimon Elazar says, no, ve'elu nitzchal ka'aretz. So Rabbi Shimon Elazar says, both of them got it. Both, whether you left Egypt or on top of 117b, whether you left Egypt or whether or not you came into the land of Israel, the land was divided. In order to fulfill these two verses, Rashbam explains, to those who left Egypt and those who came into the land. And this position, Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, he does not say he doesn't say it goes back. He doesn't adopt this approach of Rabbi Yonasan that we take the boys who went in and we give it back to their brothers. And so therefore you could explain the Mishnah well according to him as well, that Beno Slafchad, according from Slafchad, they were able to get 3 portions because he was part of those who left Egypt. And that's why it says, that's why the Tana doesn't say that our Mishnah goes according to Rabbi Yoshaya, but goes according to those who left Egypt. meaning to say, because it could work both according to Rabbi Yoshaya and according to Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar. And we'll look back to the text of the Gemara. How does it work? So the one who was from the Exodus, no telchalko im yotzei Mitzrayim. That if there was a man who was from those who left Egypt, i.e., let's say Reuven was one who left Egypt, so he would get a share with those who left Egypt, since he was about 20 years old. And so therefore he would take his portion. If he was from those who came into the land, no tochalko in bayarts, meaning to say they just made more shares. They made more shares in the land, and they gave everybody who was part of the Exodus a share, and everybody who was part of the Aliyah into the land of Israel got a share. Mikan and Mikan, let's say you were in both. What? How could you be in both? But let's say you're in both. No tachalka mikan umikan. Then he would get 2 shares. But how could you be part of both? So how can you be part of both shares? Because that's impossible. Because all the people between the ages of 20 to 60, they died. So Rashbam says that you can't say we're talking about a person who left Egypt when he was 20 and also entered into the land of Israel and he got 2 shares. Because all the people who left Egypt, aside from Joshua and Caleb, all those people who were above 20, they died in the desert, except for the tribe of Levi, but they didn't get a share. So Rashbam brings an explanation that some say that the interpretation here is to somebody who left Egypt when he was over 60 years old. Somebody who left Egypt when he was over 60 did not die in the desert, and so therefore he got a share of both. But Rashbam rejects this because the only people got the land was from the people who were between 20 and 60. So Rashbam is questions that. So Tosfos say that when it says so, therefore Rashbam gives a different explanation here. That so Rashbam's explanation is as follows. Hold on one second. So Rashbam brings down the Tosefta that such a person will get 2 portions. Okay, so anyway, we have the Rimigash gives a different explanation. Anyway, so it's a whole hawk here. Okay. Conversation. Now the Gemara says, we could read it inside if you want. Then we'll read it inside. So what does Rashbam say? Reuven, who was 20 years old when he left Egypt, and he gave birth to sons in the wilderness, and he died. And the children were 20 years old when they entered into the land. So they would get a portion on their own because they were 20 when they went in. And they also got a portion from their father because he was one of the people who left Egypt. So that's what it means, the first explanation. That they get 2 portions, one from their father, one from themselves. And some say, Rashbam brings the second explanation, means it refers to one person who was from those who left Egypt and also the land who came in, like he was over 60 when he left Egypt. And yet he still went in. The only decree was dying were those between the ages of 20 and 60. As we say, well, Nigzor Gzera B'Yeter Miven Shishim. If you had the good fortune of being over 60 when you left, you didn't die in the wilderness. Because and so therefore it's possible that you could be somebody who left Egypt and also came into the land. And so he got 2 portions. But Rashbam says, V'lav Milsi, I reject that. Because he wouldn't get to take it because of those coming into the land, because it says only those people, because it says, it says these are the ones who divide the land, refers to those who left Egypt, that there was nobody there from those who left Moshe. There were nobody there except for Moshe and Aaron. and not those who left Egypt. And so Rashbam rejects it. Okay, so Meraglim, and then it says in the text, it says Meraglim, the spies, Yeshua v'Kalev natlu chelkam. Yeshua and Kalev took the portion of the spies. Mitlonanim vadas korach. So there's the question. Mitlonanim usually is the ones who complained about the quail, but here it can't be that. As the Gemara is going to point out. So the Mitlonanim and the congregation of Korach, meaning the 250 people that made a complaint for Korach, they didn't get a portion in the land. Meaning to say, they didn't even get a portion which was taken away and given to others. They were just not even counted. Abanim, the children of the spies, natlu b'schus avi avian. They were able to get a portion with their grandfathers, i.e., with those who left Egypt. And also they also got a portion through the fathers of their mothers, meaning to say, let's say if their mothers had no brothers, then they would inherit a portion of their mother's fathers. The Gemara says, "My mashma dahai lishmos matos avosam yotzim mitzrayim." How do we know that when it says the names of those tribes of their fathers, that it refers to those who left Egypt? Why do we say that? Why do we assume it goes back to the names of those who left Egypt? Maybe it refers to the pasuk is telling us that you divide up the land equally amongst the 12 tribes. Maybe that's all it's saying. So Gemara says, no, I'll give you the land as a morasha, meaning to say it's a Yerusha, it's inheritance for you from your fathers. And this was said to those who left Egypt, that Hashem promised those who left Egypt that the land will be given to them. And so this was a special promise. Rabbi Soloveitchik points out, and he's not the only one, many point out, that Hashem says he's giving us the land of Canaan as a morasha, not as a Yerusha. What's the difference between a morasha and a Yerusha? The morasha is a heritage. Yerusha is an inheritance. What's the difference between an inheritance and a heritage? So what's the difference between an inheritance and a heritage? So an inheritance, let's say an inheritance is, I'll give you an inheritance is you get your parents decide to give you $100 million. It's an inheritance. Then it's yours. You could do with it whatever you want. You want to spend it on a football team, buy a football team with your $100 million, no problem, if you can afford it. But a heritage is something that they're giving you your identity. They're giving you something, let's say you're Jewish. You can't sell that. You can't do with it whatever you want. It's your heritage. It's passed down. It's not something you could give away, not something you could sell. So the land of Israel is our heritage. It's not our inheritance. We couldn't sell it. We couldn't give it away. Even if the President of the United States would offer us all the goodies in the world to say, okay, you know what will bring peace to the world peace, if you would just give away the land of Israel to whoever is coming and asking for it, and you'll just move to Antarctica. We'll build you like a schmuck colony in Antarctica. No, it's not going to work. You can't give it away. It's our heritage. It's not our inheritance. An inheritance you can give away. A heritage you can't. So now it says It says in the pasuk, according to Rav Papa, who says that the land of Israel was divided up amongst those who came into the land. It says L'Rav, according to the many, you shall increase the inheritance, and so we're going to say Simon L'Rav Tzlafcha Yosef Ichbal Menashe Yechashev. So this is all going to be several questions against the different positions here. So Amar Rav Papa Rav Papa says to Abai Bishlam Amanda Amar makes sense according to the one who says that the land was divided up amongst those who left Egypt. Amanda Amar Yotze Mitzrayim Nischalka Aretz. According to one who says they left Egypt, that makes sense. Hainu D'chsev. That's why it says in the pasuk that Moshe commanded about the division of the land. L'Rav Tar Ben Nachos U'Ma'at Vilam At Tamit Nachoso. That according to the many you should increase it, according to the few you should decrease it. I mean to say, who was greater and left Egypt, even though now he's few, he gets more. And the one who was few when he left Egypt, even though he's greater now, he gets more. But according to the one who says he come into the land So, according to one that says it's divided up amongst those who came into the land, what does it mean when it says according to the many you'll increase? Because it's a straight shot. If according to one that says divided come into the land, it was given exactly according to the people who came in. So therefore, kasha. So that's a difficulty. We'll pick it up again with more on tonight's stuff, which we'll do at 7:20, God willing. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem.